Happy New Year also to everybody. First opportunity to say that. Okay, so I've been asked to give you an update on the phase one open space areas that are currently under construction and the highway infrastructure works. So if we start with the Northern Greenway area, GWA2 and Leap 1, this is the open space and play area between Wellington Road and Pathfinder Way, immediately north of the Pathfinder School. All the hard landscaping and planting works are substantially complete on there. The lit footpath route between Wellington Road and Pathfinder School has been opened up for use by the public. We had planned to seed this whole area in October, but the heavy rainfall in October led to sort of the saturated ground conditions, and this has prevented our contractor from doing this. October is the end of the seeding season, so these works will be picked up in the coming seeding season as soon as the ground conditions allow us to do this. So it's likely April, May time. If we can get a good March, we'll get it seeded in March. We then plan to open up the greenway and the play area for use following the initial establishment of the grass, which we expect will be ready sort of early summertime. Moving on to the water park, which is at the east end of the phase one development, and the balance of the Northern Greenway, including Leap 2, and Leap 2 is the play area just north of the Linden Show Home. All the hard landscaping works were completed on programme at the beginning of November. So this included all the footpaths, the street lighting, all the ecological features, etc. The planting works have commenced. They commenced immediately after completion of the hard landscaping works at the beginning of November, and these are on programme to complete the planting at the end of March. Again, we'll carry out the seeding as soon as we can in the coming seeding season. Again, this should be April, May time, and we'll open up the water park and the Northern Greenway, the remainder of the Northern Greenway and Leap 2 in early summer, following the initial establishment of grass. We are intending to open up the leisure route footpath between Wellington Road and the Kingfisher Pond that runs through the eastern side of the Northern Greenway. We'll do this in March following completion of the planting in that area and completion of the highway footpath link between David Wilson Homes and Barrett, which is due to start next week and be completed by the end of February. So the soft landscaping works for the Northern Greenway, for the water park are on programme, and we do expect to deliver them in the timescales that I've mentioned at the previous two forums. Hatton's Road Ponds, which is the off-site ponds that you saw on Greenbelt's plan earlier. I did advise previously that these landscaping works were going to commence this planting season, 2020-2021, but we have had to postpone that. Unfortunately, this is due to delays with the final approval of some reserve matter submissions and resolution of the future ownership and transfer of Hatton's Road Ponds. I think it was mentioned earlier that we are in discussion with Longstanton Parish Council in respect of transferring the ownership of the ponds to them. So on the assumption that these issues will be resolved certainly before the summer, we'll look to commence the works at Hatton's Road Ponds, the landscaping works, in the 2021-2022 planting season. Moving on to the main infrastructure works, following completion of the frontage house building on Wellington Road by David Wilson Homes and Eagle Way by Taylor Wimpey in the last quarter of 2020. We constructed approximately 300 metres of footpath here and future on-road cycleway. Coming up in the first quarter of 2021, we're looking to deliver another 300 metres of footpath and future cycleway in front of Taylor Wimpey on Eagle Way and the busway, Bovis on Stirling Road and David Wilson Homes on Wellington Road. So that concludes the brief update on the open spaces and the infrastructure works. So I'm going to move on to some questions that landed in my inbox yesterday afternoon. I think a lot of these I have responded to previously in one way or another, but I'll address those anyway that are relevant to L&Q. Pioneer Park, there was a question raised regarding the quality of the concrete blocks in the Pioneer Park. Just to say that these blocks that we have installed, and there's along two boundaries of the Muga at the Pioneer Park, They're a proprietary concrete block. They are new, they're not recycled. They're called a duo block. These blocks are exactly as specified by the landscape architect, and that's approved through Reserve Matters submissions. I've also been asked about some deterioration of the surface to the Muga on one of the basketball hoops. I've not seen this personally, but please rest assured, and as again mentioned in Robin and Nick's presentation, that any defects will be addressed prior to handover and transfer to the Greenbelt, and either ourselves or our contractor will be paying for any defect correction works. Again, lighting, I think there's some questions being raised regarding lighting in the Pioneer Park. Generally, lighting is not provided in the play areas, and this, as I understand it, is generally not to encourage use of the equipment during unsociable hours. So the original approved plans didn't provide for any lighting. There are currently no plans to install any lighting, but it's certainly something, if this is something that the community want, we can explore that further, certainly with Greenbelt, or with STDC and then Greenbelt. Parking. Someone has advised that cars park everywhere around the Pioneer Park. I have not noticed this myself. I do admit I'm only there during the week and not at weekends, but I know the busway's being closed off for vehicle access, so I don't think there's an issue there with parking. So the only place I can think is that perhaps on the private drives on the two sides of the Taylor Wimpey development, the two sides of the Pioneer Park on the west side. But whoever asks this question, if they want to contact me directly, please, and then we can discuss this further. I've been asked a question regarding pedestrian crossings. Just to state that other than the zebra crossing on the Pathfinder Way, there are no other permanent formal crossings, either planned or approved within phase one. We have marked out some temporary sort of pedestrian crossing points around the development. We did this to try and encourage people to cross at designated points, but please be reminded that they're not formal zebra crossings. And in the case, and as in the case, sorry, in the permanent situation at crossing points, pedestrians should give way to vehicles and cross only when it is safe to do so. Cycle lanes, as mentioned previously, development, it is a work in progress, and the timescales for delivery of the cycle lanes and the infrastructure is fully dependent on the progress of all the house building. In the current circumstances, there is no easy pragmatic solution to stopping residents parking on the on-road cycle lanes when they are constructed. Normally there's a shared cycleway footpath designed with the verge and a curb up stand that provides separation and provides a deterrent to parking on cycle lanes. In this development, it's quite unusual and certainly specific to the Cambridge area. There is a flush curb that separates the road from the on-road cycleway. And obviously at this point, it's quite easy for vehicles to park on them. But no, hope is not lost. The situation will improve, certainly when there's full connectivity of the cycle lanes around the development. At the moment, there isn't full connectivity. So you get onto a cycle lane and then you have to get off it again, in theory. And as soon as circumstances allow for them to be topped out, they will be topped out with a red surface, with cycle symbols and signs displayed. And as soon as we can get the roads adopted and become public highway, driving and parking in cycle lanes obviously will become an offence and it will be enforceable at that time. No dog fouling signs. Someone has asked a question about the provision of dog fouling signs. Certainly if there's a specific area that is problematic, we're more than happy to provide signs and to erect signs at that location. Again, whoever raised that question, if they could contact me directly, we can certainly look at that specific situation. But again, I'll just take this opportunity to ask all residents to please pick up after their dogs. There are more than enough dog waste bins along the leisure routes and dog walking routes now, so please use them. There was a question that I saw regarding standing water on Villa Road, block drains, which I think was mentioned previously at Taylor Wimpey and Linden, and wind-blown debris from the house builders, and also a lap at Bovis. Again, can I ask you to please persist with raising and logging your complaints in writing to the customer service departments. I'm sure you've done this many times, but you've just got to keep at it, please. I did mention directly to Taylor Wimpey the issue on Villa Road this morning regarding block drains and standing water. And they said they would definitely look into that. We have recently cleared a lot of windblown debris from the water park and the greenways ourselves while we were developing the area. We're going to clean the areas again, including the reed mace, prior to seeding in April time, May time. We have written to the house builders in respect of securing their insulation boards, any building materials that are likely to become windblown, and we will keep the pressure on them to do this. I did notice today that Taylor Wimpey have actually installed some brick netting on their boundary on Eagle Way. And John, I hope you can hear me. I'm assuming you have forwarded these questions directly to the house builders. I didn't see them on the distribution list, but hopefully you have done that.
Any that are specific for house builders, I have passed on to the house builders, yes.
Okay, thanks. And finally, just to pick up on mud on roads, it's a difficult situation to control and deal with, especially in the current sort of weather that we're having. We do employ a consortium sweeper on behalf of the house builders to clean the shared use roads. So that's generally really Pathfinder Way, Stirling Road, Links Lane. The house builders supplement that with their own sweepers, and they sweep the roads that are unilaterally used by those particular house builders, i.e. those roads that are directly in front of where they're building. They are all fully aware, the house builders, of their responsibilities. They all have their own planning permissions and responsibilities that they should comply with under their own SEMPs. We have spoken to them, as I say, on numerous occasions, and we'll continue to remind them about not dragging the mud out on the road in the first place. We will continue to do this. Where needed, we will, and we have in the past, employed our own road sweepers to clean up. Apologies, that was quite a quick run through some of these questions, but that concludes, Sarah, my presentation, and hopefully picked out the relevant questions that offer L&Q and answered them. But if anybody else needs to ask me any further questions on those subjects, please contact me directly. Happy to do so.
Great, thanks. I think we're going to have to take up your offer on that, Stephen, because we've got a lot to cover on the agenda. I'm just going to pick up two. So one from Libby, so on behalf of Longstanton Parish Council, promised in October of last year that the ditch from Kingfisher Pond to the watercourse behind Prentice Close would be cleared before the end of year 2020, but we're still waiting for that to happen. Do you have an update? From the Kingfisher Pond to the watercourse behind Prentice. Let's pick this up directly with Longstanton Parish Council if you're not quite clear what it is. Yeah, I think I know where Libby means, but I'm not sure we can clean that out, that ditch, and I'm not sure if unless it was me, was it Libby? If you're okay, let's pick this up with Longstanton Parish Council. I think the other question was just on the cycle paths, just to clarify. So you said you would try to top out and put that red layer down. Do you have a timeline for when that would be? Yeah, no, currently our plans for topping out the roads, topping out the on-road cycleways. I think I mentioned this before, due to the current position that Cambridge County Council are taking re-adopting the roads, is once all the house building works are finished. We have done some work with County Council and with South Cams to try and pull all that forward and trying to come to some kind of compromise. But currently, as it stands at the moment, topping out the cycleways, as I say, it's a bit pointless trying to do it now when there's no connectivity. When there is connectivity right the way through the development, we will top out those footpaths as and when they are adopted or about to go into maintenance to the County Council. At the moment, that's still looking around 2025, 2026.
If I may jump in there, Stephen, I was going to do this as part of my update at the end. However, I have a comment from Nigel Egger over at the Highways, over at Cambridge County Council with regards to this matter. So I will just share the, I'll just share what he said to me. Which was that the County Council is aware of these matters and is working closely with SED and L&Q to see what could be possible in relation to the potential to secure alternative means of access to parts of the Phase 1 site for construction traffic. The work is ongoing. In simple terms, the primary streets within Northstowe would only be completed by L&Q once they're no longer required to be used by construction lorries for access, or where the adjacent development is completed. which will in turn delay the completion of streets. An update will be provided to John as soon as possible. And for members of the public, I am liaising with all of the people that are involved in this and trying to make sure that it stays at the forefront of the agenda.
Thank you very much for that, John. I'm going to close these questions now. We will take a note of all of the questions that have been that have come in through either Zoom or the Facebook Live, and we'll ensure that they're forwarded on to Stephen and that the answers are put up on the Facebook. So sorry that we haven't been able to address those directly with Stephen, but he is good at getting us back to us with answers. If we do have time at the end, I don't think we will, but if we do, we can go back and pick some up with you, Stephen.